Добрий день, медіа.
Hello, this is Media Center Ukraine at Ukraine Forum. It is 132nd day of the full-scale invasion of the Russian occupiers. Right now we will be discussing the situation at the front. This is Oleksandr Motuzianyk, the Speaker of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Dear friends, hello everyone. I would like to present to you a brief review of the information about Russia's military aggression as of today's morning. The active phase of the Great Liberation War is still on. The Russian aggressor is fighting for the 132nd day against our state. The main effort of the occupiers are right now focused in Luhansk and Donetsk region, holding the corridor with the temporarily occupied Crimean Peninsula and also blocking the sea communications in the northwestern part of the Black Sea. The enemy is using fire against the Ukrainian troops along the contact line in Luhansk and Donetsk region. The situation is tense but still controlled by the armed forces of Ukraine. The Russian occupation administration has increased the forced conscription in order to provide manpower to the Second Army Corps of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The search is conducted with the so-called Ministry of State Security of Luhansk People's Republic. The enemy is getting ready for the so-called referendum and illegal annexation of the temporarily occupied territories of Donetsk and Luhansk region. For this purpose, they are establishing the so-called electoral polling stations. And now let's speak in more detail about some specific regions of combat operations. In Donetsk region, the armed forces of Ukraine are fighting against the Russian troops, which includes the 8th and 58th armies, the mobilization reserves of the 1st and 2nd Army Corps, the 2nd and 41st Armies, 90th Tank Division, 5th Army, 68th Army of the Eastern military district, and also the paratroopers. The Russians are conducting assault actions to get full control of Luhansk region. Meanwhile, Ukrainians are protecting the road from Bakhmut to Lysychansk and preventing the possibility of encircling the Ukrainian troops near Vukhlekirska power plant. Near Kramatorsk, the armed forces of Ukraine have pushed the enemy away near Belogorivka in an attempt to push our troops away. The Russian occupiers used tanks and cannons near Verkhnekamensk and also conducted an aviation attack with the use of Ka-52 near Tetyanyivka. Near Bakhmut, the Ukrainian troops have held the advance of the enemy near Mironivka and Vukhlekirska power plant. The enemy has also conducted some reconnaissance actions near Vasilievka and Berestovo, and also near the village of Vershina. Also, the enemy used two Mi-24s near Vershina for an attack. Near Avdiivka, Kurakhivka, Novopavlivka, and Zaporizhia areas, the situation is generally unchanged. the Russian occupiers keep using systematic fire in order to halt the defense forces and to prevent using them in other areas. In Kharkiv region, the 6th Army of the Western military district and also the Sea Line troops of the Baltic Fleet and the mobilization reserves of the 1st and 2nd Army Corps are not conducting the assault actions. They are in their previous positions. Near Kazachalopan and Sosnivka, the Ukrainian troops forced the enemy to stop their assault actions and push the enemy back. Also, near the village of Sirkoni, two helicopters Ka-52 were used near the village of Petrivka. Near Slavyansk, the armed forces of Ukraine are preventing advance on the village of on the city of Slavyansk. The enemy conducted some assault actions near Dovhenki and Motuzianyk and used Ka-52 near Debrivne and Bohorodishny. In Dolina, the Ukrainians have successfully fended off the enemy. In general, occupier is using artillery against the position of Ukrainian troops against the whole line of the front. Also, our intelligence has noticed that one battalion and technical group was taken back to the Russian Federation in order to restore its combat capacity. Near Sazonburg and Tauron region, the 8th and 49th Army, the Sea Line forces of the Black Sea Fleet and the mobilization reserve of the 1st Army Corps. They are protecting the previously occupied positions. In Mykolaiv district, the enemy used aviation attack with the use of two Ka-52s near Ternivka in order to detect changes in the positions of defense forces. The enemy used Ka-52 near Tavrisky and Posad Pokrovsky. And near Volyn and Polisa, the enemy is trying to halt the Ukrainian troops close to the border. For this person, up to 6 battalions are camped in the borderline regions of Belarus. Also, the training was conducted at Homel region by the Border Committee of Belarus. Again, there is a threat of the continued use of aviation and missile attacks from the territory of Belarus. In the Siversk district, the enemy is holding up to 3 battalion tactical groups in Bryansk and Kursk regions. These are the 1st Tank Army, the 20th Army of Western military district, and also paratroopers. The purpose is to show that the enemy troops are in direct proximity to the Ukrainian border, and again, the impossibility to use our troops in other places. There are no signs of advance there, but the enemy continues to attack our territory with artillery, cannons, and mortars. Such attacks were noticed in Vasilievsky, Belopilya, Atinsky, and Shalikhina in Sumy region, and also in Chernigiv region in the communities of Mkhy and Zalizny Mist. The enemy continues to strengthen the system of engineering and fortification constructions in Podevotya district, 5 kilometers away from the Ukrainian border in Bryansk region. In the Black and Azov operational zones, the situation is generally unchanged. The Black Sea grouping in the northwestern part of the Black Sea is still blocking the communications and collecting intelligence. Right now, there are three warships with cruise missiles of the Caliber type, the total of which is up to 20 missiles simultaneously. In the meantime, the Ukrainian troops are incurring serious losses on the enemy. Over the last day, Ukrainian troops destroyed 150 Russian soldiers, 5 tanks, 18 armed vehicles, 2 artillery systems, 1 MLRS system, 2 UAVs, and 5 cars of the Russian army. The total losses of the enemy are shown in the slide. That's it from me now. Glory to Ukraine. Dear colleagues, any questions? Angelina Strashkovich, Ukraine Forum. Question 1. Do you have any information about new groupings by Russians near the border of Ukraine? And the second question, is it correct that Russia has brought donor blood to the Belarusian city of Moser? The main Department of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense and other intelligence bodies of our country are monitoring the actions happening along the borders. We are not noticing as of today the creation of any additional advancement groupings at the border. We know the general tactics of the enemy so far. They are focused in Luhansk and Donetsk regions. In other places, they keep their troops. They conduct shellings and missile attacks in an attempt to hold our troops there and to prevent the use of our troops in the most active hotspots of the war. So we are not noticing any new assault troops by the enemy. But still, of course, we always have to be in the full readiness along the whole line of the front. Speaking of Moser, I need to check this information additionally with the main Department of Intelligence. Hello, Oleksandr, Reuters. There was a post on Facebook by the state headquarters. As far as I understood, there will be some special system of permits for people to move within state borders of Ukraine. As far as I understand, in the practical sense, no one used to stop men from moving inside the borders of Ukraine within our administrative borders. What is going to change in practice? So I will answer your question because we are preparing a briefing on this particular subject, but maybe Oleksandr is not the person entitled to speak on this subject, but we will have such speakers here soon. Well, I will add just briefly. Right now, that's the issue that is in focus of public opinion, so information will be provided additionally. We need to understand that right now the existing legislation is being honed. There were already requirements of this kind introduced in the legislation of 1992, and right now, in order to improve this process, the list was developed. You are right to say that there were no such limitations before. So there is war in the country, and the government needs to be aware of the existing mobilization resource. It is very important that the territorial centers of conscription, again, need to be aware of the exact locations of our mobilization resources in order to be aware what to do in case there are any additional situations where this process needs to be put in place. So again, this will be put in practice by the territorial conscription centers. There will be categories of the population that are subject to conscription. The permits will be issued locally from 30 days to 1 year, and there will be specific categories of the population, those who will be provided such permits. So no panic for now. This information will be made available, and please be sure that this balance between the rights of the citizens for free movement and the necessary control over the mobilization resources will be observed. Thank you, Oleksandr. This was Oleksandr Motuzianyk, the Speaker of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine.
You can ask